Well, hello there all you absolutely magnificent people, and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays, where we talk about nature while playing games. My name is Will, I'm an ecologist by training, and while this is Nightingale, we are back in Nightingale indeed for the second episode. And well, the base has progressed a bit, but there is a bit of work left to do. I have built this wood station where Charlie is very busy chopping logs for us, and then also I've expanded the base a bit. I've got this nice roof up here, on which I have a whole bunch of little crop plots. And then I also have this little nook over here, which is where we are going to build our smelter, etc, etc. Also have a slanted roof there, and right over here we have a few water barrels catching the water that is falling off the roof. Of course, I can put a few more here as well. I just have 7 for now, because I thought, this is quite nice. So yeah, we've got a lot of water ready to be used in our gardens at the top here. We also have a whole bunch of little storage baskets, little angling baskets. We've got a little smelter going as well, which I will move upstairs momentarily. We also have a sawing bench over here, a workbench, and just a nice little fireplace and a little nook over here, our little bedroom. I have got a whole bunch of stuff I need to do, but before we can do that, I need to unlock a whole bunch of these recipes here. So let's grab the textile station along with the wick. I need that definitely as well. We'll get to the charms in a bit as well. I'm also going to grab the crude coat rack here, because that is going to increase the health and stamina of the clothes that we craft. Also, for now, just going to grab glass there. Also, of course, the simple mortar station, which gives us access to seeds, which we will need to actually plant on top there. We're also going to learn the agricultural augment so that we can build a nice beehive, because that technically, if you're looking at it ecologically, that's going to be very useful for us with the crops that we are growing or going to grow. I'm also grabbing the masonry bench here, and very importantly, the tanning station, which gives us access to leather and very importantly, animal fiber and felt. And you know what, we're also going to grab chitinous bone here and chitinous hide. Now chitin, which we have over here, we will get this from arthropods, basically jointed leg creatures. So spiders, insects, those types of things. Arachnids and insects, very important source of chitin. And we'll talk about chitin, of course, when we do encounter that. I'm not going to unlock any of the tools here because, well, we are going to go and grab them in a moment. But I'm going to just grab the cartography set and the basic sawhorse as well. All these little extra things. And then lastly, let's grab the alchemical boiler as well. And the macabre rack. And I will build these over time in our base over here as well. But for now, what we are going to do is we are going to... Oh, hello there. Puck wants to talk to us. But basically, Puck just wants us to go to the site of power and defeat whatever is in there. Okay, we will do that. But first, we are going to head to the west here. Because while I was running around, chopping trees, hunting wolves, doing those types of things, I did find a very useful tool. I haven't picked it up yet because, well, I wanted to do that on screen. I do believe the tool we're looking for should be right up here. Yes, indeed, there it is. It's a very important traversal tool. It is the umbrella. And now we're just going to activate this ring course over here because that is going to allow us to actually test it out a bit. It is a wonderful way to traverse the world. I don't know what, this is how we know that there's definitely magic in this world, because this teeny tiny umbrella over here would definitely not be enough to keep us afloat. Definitely not. In order to support our weight, it would most likely have to be at least 4-5 meters in diameter. Much bigger than this little teeny tiny umbrella actually is. And wow, we are really going left and right and swinging all over the place here. Alright, but that has given us 30 tier 1 essences. And that, that's not bad. Oh, wait, we do also have some giant spiders over there. You know what we're going to do is we're going to just attack them a bit. Ooh, that was a nice hard shot apparently. A little bit difficult to actually technically pull off on the spooders. Oh, as we also then get poisoned there. Envenomated technically, not technically poisoned, that's venom right there. But the reason I say it's technically difficult to actually get a hard shot on a spider is because, well, spider anatomy is a little bit different from our anatomy or from mammalian anatomy, even from bird anatomy and most other animals that you may be familiar with. They do have a heart. It's kind of located somewhere around there, which technically is not where I got there. Alright, well, one spider is dead. And this one is obviously going to envenomate us as well. Oh, that one is also dead. Great stuff. Where's this one? There we go. There's this one. Okay, another one bit the dust. But in terms of spiders, the heart is actually a tube. It's not a chambered heart like we as mammals have, and even insects would have more of a chambered heart, but they would have a tube heart. which will be located in the abdomen. So on the top part of the abdomen, that is where you would actually find the heart of the spider. Though I don't think that is actually what constitutes a heart shot in this game here. But if you know you're being accurate, that is where you would shoot to actually shoot the heart of the spiders. Anyway, we have now obtained chitin as well, which is a very, very nice, strong compound. Now, although we obtain chitin from like the spiders in the game here, you could technically, you would also be able to obtain like chitin from the fungi over here, because chitin is one of the primary components in the cell walls of fungi, and that actually means that fungi are more closely related to animals than they are to plants. Even though most people would classify fungi or mushrooms as, you know, kind of a plant, it's technically a kingdom all on their own. And they are more closely related to animals than they are to plants, because, well, some animals, like arthropods, will have chitin in their exoskeletons. Also, chitin will also be found in the beaks of cephalopods, of, you know, octopus and squids, and will also be found in the mouthparts of the snails and other mollusks. So it's actually very, very, very widespread. It is a very abundant polysaccharide on Earth. Polysaccharide meaning a more... Oh, there we go. There's another spooder over here. Let's just see. Technically, right there would be the hard shot. Didn't get any special damage from shooting it there, though. Nonetheless, they are both dead now. But as I was saying, chitin is a polysaccharide, meaning that it is a very complex sugar made up of a whole bunch of other sugars. It also contains nitrogen. So it is mostly carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, but there's also some nitrogen in chitin. You know what? I think I built a base here in my other game. Yeah, this is definitely a place that I built my base. And then I built up here, and now we're building over there somewhere. Anyway, just to the south, there is in fact another tool we can grab, so we may as well go for that. And let's also just eat something. Ah, there we go. We obtained a maul. So another weapon unlocked. Now, scattered throughout the land, there are some areas that have been taken over by the Bound, basically by the main enemies of the game here. But we are just going to avoid them until we have better weapons and potentially better armor as well. So what we are going to do now is we are just heading directly east to where there is another treasured item. We're just basically hunting treasured items, so important items, as much as we can, because that is going to unlock a whole bunch of tools for us. Now there is also some kind of fabled creature right up here. I'm not sure what it is, but let's have a look here, shall we? And they seem to have disappeared, so no idea what that was. Now in the first episode I did talk about these lichens that are growing on the rocks here, but I never mentioned why some of them are actually orange, and that's because of the anthraquinones that they contain in their bodies. And that's usually in the algal component of these symbiotic lichens here, where basically lichen again consists of fungi and bacteria, or fungi and algae living in a mutualistic relationship. And one of those two components, either the fungi or the algae, and usually it is the algae, will contain anthraquinones. And the anthraquinones give it that orangish color. And it's very important because it actually protects the rest of the tissue of the lichen against excess solar radiation, so too harsh sunlight. Because, well, yeah, too much sunlight is even bad for lichens. Oh, there we go. We did actually get a nice hard shot on that spider because we actually shot it right on the top of its body, and that counts as a hard shot. That one did inject some venom into me, which is not great, you know, but that's alright. But anyway, the anthraquinones basically acting like a sunscreen for the lichens, which is really just amazing. Ah yes, well, these big spirit deer, I can never remember the name of these spirit deer, but that's great. We are right here where there is apparently one walking around, and we're just going to go to that treasured item over there. The treasured item to this side was the recovery spell, which we can put on, for example, our sword to actually then allow us to cast recovery, which is basically a healing spell for us. Anyway, lichens, really awesome. I really be liking them a lot. Alrighty, there we go. That was my dad joke for the day. Well, just kidding. That's just a start. I'm just warming up with the dad jokes for today. I do believe there's another spider right over there, and let's see if we can get a hard shot. Yes, we can. So it does count as a hard shot, hitting them right there on the back, right there where I did shoot it there. That is actually a very nice little detail. Most games, they actually just make the heart like somewhere in the first part of the body, the so-called prosoma of the arachnid, so the front part of the body, the first segment of the body, but it is actually located there in the opistosoma, or the so-called abdomen of the spider, rather than in the first body segment. Aha, let's see what we have over here. There's some kind of ruin over here, and apparently also a valued item. And it is the hammer. This means we can actually repair damage done to our base as well. So there are some more spiders here. They do appear to be chasing the local wildlife. Not really interested in us. That's perfectly fine with me. Means we do not have to kill them unnecessarily. And another little small camp over here with some kind of valued item. This does look like a fishing place, so I suspect it's the fishing rod. Indeed, there we go, the fishing rod. Very, very useful. And there's also some kind of big animal running around here. I suspect it is the big spider. Indeed, there is a big spider over there. These spiders are very reminiscent of button spiders. You may know them as widow spiders in the US. We call them button spiders here in South Africa. And they are very, very venomous. So it's best not, to be bitten by them if you can help it at all. Lovely coloration on the big spider here. So the blotches that you see here actually disrupt the outline of this big spider, so that would be a form of camouflage. It's what we call disruptive camouflage. Interesting, it also has a little heart shape at the bottom here. Now very often with the button spiders or the widow spiders, you have some kind of marking on the underside of the opisthothoma here, the abdomen part. In this case we have in the prosoma, in the first body segment of the spider, we have got a little heart marking. So just looking at it, first of all, why on earth does it curl up its legs like this? Well, that's because the way a spider actually moves is by pumping fluid into their legs. And when they are dead, well, they can't pump fluid into their legs anymore. And then they basically just curl up like this. Typical death pose for a spider. And then also just looking at the spider, arachnids typically have two body segments. So this is what we call the prosoma or the forebody. And then this is the opisthothoma or the back body, the abdomen in insects. Insects, on the other hand, will have three body segments. They have the head, they've got the thorax, and then they've got the abdomen. But in arachnids, the head and thorax basically are one. Okay, so it's the sometimes called the cephalothorax, but it's actually what we nowadays call more the prosoma. Anyway, let us just quickly gather the materials here. Let nothing go to waste. Right, now we have just dropped off a bunch of stuff at home, taken a quick nap, and now it is time for us to head to the east because, well, there are a few things we need to grab to this side. And the most important of those would be the sling bow. Because when we have the sling bow, we just need to unlock the explosive grenade satchel and then we can get the crude ammo box. Yes, I can spend 25 essences to actually unlock it, but you know what, if we can get something for free, why spend essences on that? Okay, there are some stuff around here. Let's see what we can get. I think there is, most likely, yeah, there we go, the climbing pick right over here. And I suspect we'll use that to actually climb up here. Aha. Well, that is marvelous. There we go. We're going to run out of stamina now, but there we go, that's fine. Yeah, I can't say I've gotten used to the climbing picks. Nonetheless, we've got a ring course we can activate here, and surely there we go, there is Charm of the Wanderer. We're just going to quickly do the course, because you know what, essences are essences. Now from the look of things, we can only grab treasured item there and two up there. I suspect this is the sickle and the watering can. I think this is actually the sling bow, because we do still need the sickle and the watering can, and we do still need the sling bow. Those are the only things we need, so it makes sense that the sickle and the watering can would be together. So let's grab the sling bow first. There we go, indeed, the sling bow right over here, as well as explosive marbles, which means we can unlock that. Let's grab the grenade satchel and then the ammo box. Now when I just started playing the game, I must say I did enjoy the sling bow. However, I have really gotten into the normal bows. And in the current playthrough with my wife, well, we have just gotten our first firearms, and well, that does open up a whole other way of playing the game. So definitely will be going for some firearms later on in the game. For now though, archery is the way I will be going. And yes indeed, it does look like right up here, there's a bit of a farming plot over here. So we can grab the watering can, and oh yes, up here, the sickle as well. And that means we've unlocked everything in tier 1 in terms of our tools here. So that is just absolutely marvelous. And now, well, I'm just going to sort out my base a bit, and I'll be back in a moment.
Much later.
Right, now it has actually been quite a while since I recorded last, and well, I've built a few things, but before we do that, you'll notice some froggies swimming around in the water here, and a deer running around like crazy. Come on, the exit is right over there. Anyway, little frogs in the water here. So I love the fact that there are birds and frogs and insects and all kinds of stuff crawling around the world. You know, you can't shoot them, you can't hunt them for anything, but they do provide a nice bit of, you know, ambiance, I guess you can call it. There was a dragonfly just also flying past there. Really quite cool. And of course, water bodies like these would be incredibly important for amphibians like the little froggies there, because most of them would require water for the egg and larval stage of their lives. Some frogs do lay their eggs outside of the water. We, for example, here have the clicking stream frog, and they will lay their eggs next to the water, and the tadpoles then wriggle around until they end up in the water. Some, like the foam nest frog, will lay their eggs in a foam nest above the water, and then there's a little froggy jumping quite high up there. But then the little tadpoles of those foam nest frogs, when they hatch, they will actually wriggle out of the foam and then drop down into the water below where the nest was actually built. But most frogs will lay their eggs in the water or directly next to it or above it, and then the tadpoles will hatch, and voila, you have them completing the life cycle within the water body, like this little wetland area over here. Now, as you'll see here, I have also built a little fishing dock, because, you know, nobody likes fishing in the rain, so we can just pull out our fishing rod over here and then just fish a bit. And I do love the fishing in this game. It's quite nice. You can catch a variety of different fish in a variety of different habitats, but you'll try to keep the tension there right around the middle section there, the middle of that bar there, and then just make sure you don't run out of stamina. And eventually you'll see that little red bar of the leaf fin soldier fish there runs down. If it is closer to the start of that tension bar, it goes down with low values. Let me just get my stamina back a bit here. And when the tension bar is quite close to the center there, you get more critical hits and you get higher values, and the stamina of that fishy will actually deteriorate more quickly, so you can catch them more quickly. But we caught the leaf fin soldier fish here. Can't really have a good look at them up close and personal because, well, all the fish, the emblems kind of look like that. But there is the leaf fin soldier fish. And I'm guessing that the leaf fin soldier fish, the leaf fin part thereof, refers to their fins actually resembling leaves, which would make sense. That would be a marvelous camouflage for them. So marvelous adaptation to be camouflaged in this little wetland environment. Now, this is not the only thing I built. I have also been expanding our house a bit, and we'll get back to the top floor there in a moment. I don't just want a little cottage, I want an eco-friendly cottage. So we've got little bushes like blueberry bush over here, and we had barberry as well planted over here in little pots. And then we have along the side here, again, some tomato plants, some more blueberries. There's a cinder strand plant over here as well, a bit of variety. And as we get access to different plants, we'll plant more of them around that little cottage here as well. I've also been crafting a whole bunch of stuff here at our little workstation here, which contains all the workbenches that we possibly need. I have also finally moved our smithy upstairs here, so there's our smithy right over there, and then we have our rooftop garden, fully functional, a whole bunch of different plants here, tomatoes and blueberries and cinder strands, and we don't have barberries up here, but we'll have barberries again as well, and a little farming station as well for things like your crude plant fibers. Alright, but this is basically our house at the moment, our little expanded house. But you know what, before we end, let's go take out some of the bound. I apparently missed a treasured item right over there, but there are some bound to the south. Let's go do that, shall we? Now, before we go do anything else, let's quickly make some clothing, because I've got the sewing bench right here, and I do love the crafting in this game. It's absolutely amazing. So for all of the recipes here, you'll see you'll need certain ingredients, and you can use a variety of ingredients. Like the straps over here, you can make at the tanning station over here, and you can decide, okay, do I want to get more health in my armor? Do I want to have more health regen and stamina regen? Do I want more stamina? Now we're going to go for bug straps, because that will give us more health regen and stamina regen. So we just select that. And for plant fibers, I'm going to go for cinder strands, which is also kind of why I have been farming them a bit, because this will give us extra stamina. I just also need to make sure that our station augments here are fine. The crude coat rack here will give us also more health and more stamina for our clothing, whereas the simple saddle rack here will give our crafted clothing a range damage plus, which is nice. And other things like the macabre rack will give you resistances, which is nice if you need resistances, or will give you more magic plus if you are more of a magic user, or more speed and more stamina regen, which is kind of something I could go for, but you know what? On the boots, let's do that, shall we? Yeah, there we go. For the boots, we are going to go for a bit of speed as well. And then we can do the same type of thing for the rest of our clothing. So I'll just get to that, and I'll be back in a moment. I have crafted my new clothing, and I'm currently just making a few enchantings. I've made the Charm of Invigoration and the Charm of the Wanderer, which I will be putting on some of my armor. Also making the weight limit infusion here. You know what, we are playing as a ranger as well, so let's increase our ranged capabilities as well, our ranged damage. And of course, we're just going to apply those on the relevant things. You know, the weight limit I'm going to put on my pack here. The charm of invigoration, I'm going to apply that to the hat. The charm of the wanderer, I'm going to put on my boots. Range damage, I'm going to put on the gloves and on the pants. And of course on the jacket as well. And then it's just a case of getting dressed. And there we go. All my better clothing equipped. Now, I don't think I look quite as dapper as I did before, but yeah, there we go. It's a new look. I look kind of like a swagman, an Australian swagman, but you know what, this is fine. I'm just going to take my old clothing here and extract the essences so I can get some essences back there, in essence. And then we'll be off. I really do love the way the crafting works in this game. With you being able to determine what your weapons and what your clothing actually do simply by using different material. Really, really very nice. Apparently there is a fabled creature about 41 meters away from me, but it does seem to be right below me. And there is a cave entrance right over there. So you know what? Let's go do some spelunking, shall we? Should be right down here. Huzzah! We have reached the cave. Now the caves can be quite dangerous, so I'm going to rely on my assistant over here, Percy, who is also equipped with a bow and arrow, so hopefully Percy can also do a bit of range damage to whatever we encounter. Oh, they're wolves. Alright, well, we should be fine, as long as we just, you know, hit the heart like that, or get headshots like that. I don't know why Percy isn't doing anything. Come on, Percy. There we go. Thank you, Percy, for finally doing something. Now, usually there is a bigger creature, and indeed there is a fabled creature somewhere in this cave. And we'll be going to have a look at them in a moment. They should be right up there. Or maybe they're over there. Okay, maybe they're over there. Probably over there, in fact. Okay, that's one down. And here we go. This is the fancy pants one. The big fabled creature. Just have to stay out of their way. Luckily, dodging and shooting with a short bow like this, it really helps. And there we go. It is done. And this gives us some fabled bone and fabled meat and fabled hide to also use in our armor and our weapons. Ooh, and we got coffee. Of course, that does mean that we will be planting some coffee when we get home. And is this sulfur? I think this is sulfur. Yeah, indeed, this is sulfur. And we can't get the shimmering ore yet because our pickaxe over here is only level 20. It needs to be level 25 in order for us to actually harvest the shimmering ore. And we can actually increase it to 25 simply by putting some kind of enchantment on it. That should make it strong enough to actually harvest the shimmering ore as well. And well, that is it for this cave. So let's head on out to that bound infestation that I was looking for. And that is somewhere here to the southeast. This is just absolutely stunning. I mean, we have more than 100 stamina at the moment, just from the new clothes that we crafted. Absolutely marvelous. And I think, yeah, indeed, this is the spot we need to be. So let's get ready for some chaos. I do hear some bound. There we go. There they are. Okay, so recently they were actually very much little pumpkin heads running around with Halloween that was here. And now they are no longer. They have taken their normal shape again. They're spawning from in there. Okay. Now let's just, you know, shoot all of that. There we go. Problem solved. And there should be another one here to the southeast again. So let's just go get rid of that one as well. There is another heart down here as well. So there are two hearts we need to get rid of. That heart up there should almost be destroyed. There we go. It is gone, which leaves only the one down here. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to charge right in. We've got enough health to withstand all of this. And then we'll just hit Lamphead over here. I think that was it. And now we go home. And well, that is where we are going to also call it a day, everybody. So thank you very much for joining me on a little adventure here. Hope you had fun. Hope you learned a little bit about the crafting as well in Nightingale. Really, really a fun mechanic. I am loving it. Next time we will be heading over to our first story realm. So join me then as we continue our quest to talk about nature while playing games. Until next time, everybody, stay safe. I'll see you all soon. Cheers.